Minister of State and Member of Parliament, Mr. Donovan Williams, Acting Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Dion Jennings, Chief Technical Director, Social Security Division, Mrs. Audrey Dear Williams, the Chief Technical Director, Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Ms. Gillian Carruthers, here at North Street, President of the Jamaica Employers Federation. Is he with us at this time? No. All right. President of the Confederation of Trade Unions, Mr. St. Patrice Ennis, the representative of Mrs. Simpson Miller's family, former Prime Minister Alicia Magnus, grandniece. And we apologize at this juncture for the Honorable Harold Miller is unable to be here as he's traveling. Senior pastor of the Webster Memorial United Church, Reverend Asta Carlisle, members of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security here at 1F North Street, every one of you, I greet you well, ladies and gentlemen. And before we move on with the formalities, the restroom is on the lower floor, and one of the ushers will guide you if you need that facility. Now, in keeping with the government's commitment through the Jamaica Legacy program to preserving the legacy of transformational leaders and ensuring that their contributions remain permanently etched in the nation's history and collective memory, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, will undertake the formal naming of the second of its primary buildings at this time today. This building, located at 1F North Street, will be named in honor of former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller. This is the second and final of the two dedications and naming ceremonies today, forming part of the National Observance of Workers' Week 2026. And as we settle in and ensure that everybody is seated, I would like at this time, once again, working her very hard, to ask the Acting Permanent Secretary to come forward and formally welcome us all here to 1F North Street. Might I invite Mrs. Dion Jennings to the microphone.
Thank you, Madam Compere, Mrs. Faye Ellington. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica and the Minister of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, Mr. Mark Golding, Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., Minister of Labour and Social Security, the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Donovan Williams, Minister of State in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Mr. Wavell Hines, Opposition Spokesperson on Labour and Sports, Mr. Denzel Thorpe, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Councillor Charmaine Daniels of the Almond Town Division, Miss Alyssa Magnus, grandniece of the Most Honourable Portia Simpson Miller, Mrs. Audrey Dear Williams, Chief Technical Director of the Social Security Division, Ms. Gillian Carruthers, Chief Technical Director in the Ministry, Mr. Mara Nelson, Chief Technical Director, Productivity Center, directors and staff of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security and of the Office of the Prime Minister and of the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, St. Patrice Ennis, President of the JCTU, and I must apologize for Mr. Wayne Chen, President of the Jamaica Employers Federation, but I'm sure he's listening online, Mr. James Wood, and other representatives of the iPrint team, media partners, and other specially distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to this important and historic occasion as we gather for the formal naming ceremony of the head office building of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in honor of the Most Honourable Portia Simpson Miller, former Prime Minister of Jamaica. Today's ceremony is rooted in national recognition, institutional memory, and respect for public service. It is an occasion that transcends political affiliation and instead reflects our collective appreciation for an individual whose contribution to Jamaica's development has left an indelible mark on the nation's social and political landscape. The naming of the building is among the highest forms of national tribute. It signals the values, service, and legacy of the individual being honored and are worthy of permanent remembrance within the life of the nation. It is in this instance, it is especially fitting that this honor is being bestowed within the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, an institution so closely aligned with Mrs. Simpson's Miller lifelong advocacy for working people, the vulnerable and underserved communities across Jamaica. Let me specially welcome our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, for participating in this double ceremony we have here today. We have a long day, Prime Minister. We're grateful to you for joining us and for being our keynote address, bringing our keynote address. I also want to specially welcome our Minister of Labor and Social Security, our visionary leader here at the ministry, who has been with us for some time now, Minister Charles, and also complimenting him, our other hardworking Minister of State, Honorable Donovan Williams. Let me also welcome our Minister of Culture, Entertainment, Gender and Sports. Hope I got that right. Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Honorable Olivia Babsy-Grange, who has partnered with us, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, in ensuring that this enduring legacy is a part of not only Workers' Week, but our nation's recognition. I want to also welcome our Leader of the Opposition, as I acknowledged earlier, and other members of the family of the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller. Miss Alicia, we want to welcome you especially. As we recognize Mrs. Simpson Miller for her distinguished public service, we also recognize her for her leadership and remain deeply connected to the realities and aspirations of ordinary Jamaicans. Her work is reflected in her steadfast commitment to social advancement, inclusion, and the belief that governance must always remain responsive to the needs of the people. Her tenure in public life was characterized by resilience, accessibility, and an enduring dedication to improving opportunities for others. She consistently championed issues affecting workers, women, families, and vulnerable citizens, and contributed significantly to strengthening Jamaica's social protection framework and the labor environment. Today, therefore, stands not only as a tribute to an individual, but also a reaffirmation of the principle that service to country deserves recognition wherever it is found. It is a reminder that national development is built through the contributions of many Jamaicans across different administrations, generations, and perspectives, all united by a shared commitment to the progress of this country we proudly call home. As the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, I know the Minister will agree with me, we're not only talking, but we are working. On behalf of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, then, I extend sincere thanks to all our distinguished guests, stakeholders, partners, and members of staff for joining us on this memorable occasion. Your presence contributes greatly to the significance of this national moment. A warm Jamaican welcome to you all. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Madam PS. And like I did at our earlier location, let me just remind everyone here that this event is being covered by Radio Jamaica, so we want to acknowledge those persons who are online watching. Thank you very much. And it's now time for Mr. St. Patrice Ennis to come forward and bring his greetings. He's president of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions. Sir?
Thank you, Madam Fay. One of the important attributes of a trade unionist is to, as you know, our primary vocation is to negotiate, is to read the room properly, scan the faces, take into consideration your environment, looking at the program, seeing Honorable Prime Minister, seeing Minister of Labour, Honorable Pernell Charles, Minister Olivia Babs-Grange, Permanent Secretary, and the Minister Williams, also the opposition leader, and many other distinguished guests. And know that nobody really came here to hear me speak. And so, again, I'll be very brief and just say on behalf of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Union, it's indeed an honor to be here present, to honor another trade unionist. We honored one just moments ago, and to honor another who started her career or in her early years was at the Trade Union Congress. It is indeed a fitting moment, and it is indeed what gives practitioners like myself inspiration to know that your work doesn't go unnoticed, and to see the presence of the minister, the opposition leader, all of us coming together to honor persons who have taken different paths, different political persuasion, but it was all to make Jamaica a better place. And so while all protocols are observed, because the Permanent Secretary was very extensive in doing the welcome, forgive me, but this is a domestic matter. My aunt is in the audience, so I must acknowledge her, because I have to contend with that later. So forgive me, Prime Minister. But thank you all for inviting the Confederation. It's indeed an honor on behalf of the trade union fraternity to witness persons who we consider part of our fraternity, brother and sister. For them to be honored today is indeed a benefit and a privilege on behalf of the Confederation of Trade. So thank you all.
Do you know St. Patrice Ennis? You could at least have said what your aunt's name is. Aunt Beryl? Thank you for being here. Clearly, you must have had some influence on him. Thank you. Oh, that Aunt Beryl is my church sister. All right, we're moving on now, and it is indeed, I think, an opportunity that the Leader of the Opposition is anticipating, which is to stand here this morning and make his comments in this auspicious occasion, of the naming of this building in honor of someone who was his leader, who was Prime Minister of this country, the former Prime Minister, Portia Simpson Miller. So, Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, please join us. Join me at the lectern.
There's a river back there. Thank you very much, Madam Master of Ceremonies, Prime Minister, Ministers Charles and Grange, Junior Minister Williams, Acting PS Jennings. I see so many people in the audience, so I know I don't want to get into a long naming thing. Greetings to each and everyone who is here. I can see a councillor here for the Almontown Division. Yes, nice to see you. It's really an honor to be asked to speak at a ceremony that is seeking to acknowledge the important role that the Most Honorable Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller played in national development by dedicating this building in her name. She came from relatively humble beginnings, Woodall, St. Catherine, And her teenage years and development of her activism took place in the area which I am now the Member of Parliament for, on Francis Lane, and then into what is now Southwest St. Andrew, where she became a councillor, I believe, in 1974, and an MP in 1976, and served in Parliament right through from then until 2017. Portia Simpson Miller, of course, became Jamaica's first female Prime Minister. She became the first president of the People's National Party who was a woman. So her place in our history is unique and unchallengeable. For somebody who has achieved those significant milestones, the naming of this building after her is an important step in the right direction. She is worthy of much more, and I'm sure there will be much more to come in the future. But she did serve for some 11 years as the person who was responsible for labor matters in the government, Minister of, it had various names, and I thank you for this booklet. So she was the Minister of Labor from 1989 to February 2000, combining it with welfare and sports for the first 4 years, then for 2 years after that with welfare, and then for 5 years after that with social security and sports, but always responsible for labor matters. And the labor movement was dear to her heart, and this particular establishment, which really focused on the overseas work program, was something that she paid particular attention to. She was insistent that the dignity of our workers, especially those who would be traveling far abroad to work, was maintained, that their rights were protected, and that the necessary institutional mechanisms were established that would ensure that that took place. So the Overseas Liaison Service was set up to provide that kind of support in the countries where they worked, and so that they could have somebody to call, somebody who would be looking out for them while they were there. Sister P went on, of course, to take on other responsibilities later on. Before she became Prime Minister, she was Minister of Tourism, and it was under her watch that the massive development of Jamaica's tourism industry really began, with the infusion of foreign investment at levels that were previously unheard of. So her legacy is wide-ranging. And then as Prime Minister from January 2012 to March 2016, she oversaw the successful implementation of an extremely challenging financial program under the auspices of the IMF, at a time when Jamaica had abandoned its previous program and had no access to international credit. She used significant political capital to restore the relationship with the multinational financial community, in particular the IMF, the IDB, and the World Bank, got Jamaica back into a program and executed on that program with remarkable dexterity. It was a difficult program involving high levels of primary surplus to begin the process of restoring Jamaica to debt sustainability, and involving major structural changes in the tax system and the legislative support for that, and the commercial architecture of the country. And it was because of the unfailing belief that the Jamaican people had in her, that she would never sell them out, that she could be relied on to uplift and defend the rights of ordinary Jamaican people, especially the workers, that we got through that period with no industrial unrest or any other kind of disharmony, but executed and delivered on it. And that continued after she demitted office, and the current Prime Minister assumed that role. And that program has led us to where we are now, where we have a relatively well-managed public financial system, and our debt to GDP ratio is below many first world countries and many of our regional peers. So big up, Sister P. Your legacy is solid, and your delivery for Jamaica deserves every accolade. I am aware, of course, that there are other institutions with which she's associated and which I'm hoping will also have the benefit of being named after her. I have in mind the Children's Hospital in St. James in Montego Bay in Mount Salem, which was her brainchild, and which she made the necessary interventions with the Chinese government to secure their financial support for that project. And it was very dear to her heart. But we will see what happens with that. But certainly today, we have to honor her and bless her. She's not able to be with us, which is very unfortunate. But she is deserving, as I have said, of every accolade and honor that could be bestowed on her. Prime Minister, I see at the last function when we were honoring Lyndon Newland, Jamaica's first Labour Minister after independence, and the man under whose watch the NIS, National Insurance System, was introduced. A system which had been developed in the UK from 1911 and has been a successful institution for providing especially pensions, but other forms of relief across the Commonwealth. That was pioneered in Jamaica by Lyndon Newland, and we have honored him today. You made some remarks about the National Housing Trust coming out of the NIS. That isn't actually accurate. The National Housing Trust was a new institution and really unique to Jamaica, formulated under the leadership of the then Prime Minister Michael Manley. The NIS payment system was adopted for a couple of years to facilitate its rapid introduction while the legislation was developed and passed and the institution was established. It really didn't come out of the NIS. The NIS was simply a mechanism that was in place that enabled the payments system of the NHT to be operationalized while it was being established as an institution. But we're very glad that the NHT has sustained itself for so many decades. It's its 50th year this year. And like the NIS, it is one of the important institutions helping to make life more accessible, the benefits of life more accessible to ordinary Jamaican people. So whenever there are occasions like this where we can come together and honor those who have served so well, it is a joy and a pleasure to be part of it. So big up Lyndon Newland, the founder of the NIS, and big up Sister P, the lady who brought me into Parliament in 2007 and made me an officer of the party in 2009, and under whose leadership I served as Minister of Justice for 4 years. Somebody very dear to my heart, Portia Simpson Miller. God bless her. One love.
I love the terms of endearment that we Jamaicans give to our dearest. For Lyndon Newland, it was Uncle Doc from the family, and here it is Sister P, and we understand that fully. We have these names. I'm Auntie Faye, and I love it. You know, it's a thing that happens with because of the respect that is in the society. You know, I pass a gentleman who I don't know in the country, but I call him Ma so-and-so. I mean, when I say don't know well, but you out of respect. Thank you so much for giving us that presentation and putting her contributions, reminding us of some of those contributions. And of course, you said thanks for the booklet with so many of them captured here. All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the lady who is always on the move, the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport. Might I invite you to join me here, the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange. Auntie Babsy.
And Sister Faye. So I would like to permit me to accept the acknowledgements that were already done, but I must acknowledge a short list of persons who are here this morning. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, Mr. Mark Bowling, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., my colleague Minister, Honorable Donovan Williams, Minister of State, St. Patrice Ennis, President of JCTU, and is it Alicia Magnus, grandniece? Right? I am of Mrs. Portia Simpson Miller. I also want to acknowledge the permanent secretaries. We can't do without them. And opposition spokesperson on labor and sports, Mr. Waver Hines. Hello, Waver. I didn't see you yesterday at Sabina Park. And all other distinguished ladies and gentlemen. There are moments in our lives when, as a people, we pause to honor those among us who have contributed substantially to the past, to the present, and future development of Jamaica, land we love. This is one such moment. And I remember the saying, don't send me flowers when I'm gone. Love me now. And so once again, we have completed another staging of Workers' Week. And as before, we sought to pay tribute to the hard work and contribution of Jamaican workers and working class to the development of Jamaica's economy. We have also remembered those Jamaican workers who migrated to other lands and took with them the practices of hard work inherited from our ancestors as they built Jamaica and the Jamaican diaspora wherever they went. Nurses, for example, or nurses overseas are highly respected. This year, in our Workers' Week celebrations, we focused on the theme, Voices Heard, shaping labor policies in an evolving labor market. In this regard, we focused on persons in our history who raised their voices on behalf of the Jamaican workers and working class, servant leaders, and it's important for us to underscore servant leaders who came out of the same working class and were able, through political participation, to rise to provide support and nurturing for those of our people. Today, I'm pleased as Minister responsible for gender, among other things, but for gender issues, to participate in a ceremony that serves to honor a Jamaican woman who gave her life and substance to the development of Jamaican workers. I speak of the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, former Minister of Labor and Welfare, and the first woman to be Prime Minister of Jamaica. Now, during her political career, the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller worked tirelessly in raising her voice for the upliftment of the Jamaican worker. For her, the Jamaican worker was deserving of the best in labor policies and industrial practices and sought every step of the way to speak out, especially for those workers that were not very high on the totem pole. Whether in Parliament or Cabinet, as Minister or Prime Minister, Portia Simpson Miller's voice was always heard on behalf of the working class. And I think that was why she had a very special relationship with the Most Honorable Edward Philip Siaka. They were very close, and as a result, I was also closely associated with her in spite of the political divide. I eventually found out that we're cousins. I have more cousins in Jamaica, right, Prime Minister? Everyone else. At her instigation, policies were developed and work programs created so that Jamaican workers could benefit from globally acclaimed industries' practices. In championing the cause of the working class, she modernized the country's social safety nets and expanded international employment opportunities for Jamaican workers, such as the Overseas Farm Workers Program, and established the Overseas Recruitment Center for farm workers to improve conditions and opportunities for Jamaican workers abroad. Such was her expansive vision and advocacy for the Jamaican worker that she also ensured that the National Insurance Scheme established by the Honorable Lyndon Newland became a vital component of the government's social protection system. And what I admired so much was that she rose above the politics, because when the National Insurance Scheme was introduced, it became a political football, and the opposition turned it around and called it sin. But Portia Simpson Miller rose above that and became a vital component of the government's social protection system. She was also instrumental in the establishment of a labor chair at the University of the West Indies, ensuring thereby that labor policies, relations, and practices were included at the highest level of academic engagement. So today, Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, a grateful nation gathers to dedicate and name the main building of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security here at 1F North Street, the Portia Simpson Miller Building, in her honor, in recognition and celebration of her selfless service and dedication in raising her voice on behalf of the poor and vulnerable Jamaican workers. And I must tell you that this project is a project that was established under the Jamaica Legacy Program, and it took us a while to get to this stage, and now the program is being expanded because Prime Minister spoke earlier about a new building in Heroes Circle that will accommodate the workers of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. So may those who pass by or enter this building and see the name embossed upon the building will recognize, remember, and honor the legacy of Portia Simpson Miller. I want to thank Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, for participating in such a significant way this Workers' Week and Labor Day. The Prime Minister was in Lewistown yesterday morning, bright and early, seeing to the start of the roofing of the Lewistown Early Childhood Institution, and then he journeyed from St. Elizabeth and came to Sabina Park and put in some work there, where he was joined by the leader of the opposition. And today, the Prime Minister is again with us, unveiling 2 buildings that are being done, be renamed in honor of important persons who have paved the way. And so I just want to, as I close, to mention that the Minister of State, MP Donovan Williams, is very fortunate, Prime Minister, because all the activities during Workers' Week, the 3 main activities were done in his constituency. And, you know, Minister Williams, you're a very lucky man this time around. So I want to thank you all. And today, as I said earlier, don't send me flowers when I'm gone. So today we honor and give thanks for the contribution of the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller. May God bless her. May God bless Jamaica. And may God bless all of us. Thank you so much.
It's a very good thing I'm not easy to get jealous. Do you know, Minister Grange stood here a short while ago and spoke about her being cousins with someone. But she neglected to tell you that she has always been telling me that we are cousins. And I'm very distressed. The Prime Minister looked up to God a while ago. No, really. And then she just ignored me like this. But Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something about this building. Do you remember when we started this business about preparing ourselves to work in the Caribbean and we had to get a work certificate? Well, way back then, I journeyed down here and came upstairs to get my certificate to work in the Caribbean. I arrived shortly after getting it to Barbados, and it was one excitement with the immigration, and because they did not know anything like this was being discussed, and neither did they. They were seeing it for the first time, so they were calling everybody. Between me and you, we don't really know what happened with that certificate in terms of the program, because we are move up and down. I know it is happening, but it's not happening the way we led it in Jamaica. You agree? It's not happening the way we led it in Jamaica, you know? So that they had no clue at all. So here we are, leading again as usual. The Honorable Colonel Charles Jr., this is your day, no? It's your ministry, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and it's your time to speak, so you can just fill me in properly on that certificate.
Thank you, Auntie Faye. And we are doing that still, so you can give me a call, we'll sort you out. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, Mr. Mark Golding, Opposition Leader, Honorable Olivia Bamsley Grange, Honorable Donovan Williams, P.S. Jennings and other Permanent Secretaries, Mr. Wavell Hines, Councillor Daniels, our Chief Technical Directors who are here, Ms. Audrey Dare Williams and others, and other staff of the ministry, Ms. Magnus, who is the grandniece of the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, all of the directors and staff of OPM, MLSS, Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Mr. St. Patrice Ennis, and all other specially invited guests. Again, permit me to say good afternoon to you. It is another moment of profound national significance as we formally dedicate what is our head office in the name and honor of one of Jamaica's most revered and transformational leaders and former ministers of Labor and Social Security, the Most Honorable Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller. Today we pause to honor a daughter of the soil whose life and whose work has been defined by an unstinting service to the people of this country. When you think of Portia Simpson Miller, you will think of working. And I see her running up the stairs. And so the members of the ministry will tell you that as minister, to honor her, I do not take the elevator. And I've not done so for the last 3 years. Is that not true? Yes. And when I don't run like Portia. But when they see me and say, how are you doing? I say, I'm working. Yes. As with this morning's observance, this afternoon's ceremony forms part of the Jamaica Legacy Project, which is a significant national initiative through which the government of Jamaica preserves and celebrates the enduring contributions of Jamaicans whose leadership helped to shape the destiny of our nation. And through this initiative, we are ensuring that the stories and the sacrifices and the achievements of our national stalwarts are permanently woven into the very institutions and spaces that serve the Jamaican people. So it is fitting that this building will forever bear the name of a leader whose journey inspired a nation, whose leadership broke barriers, and whose legacy continues to stand as a powerful symbol of resilience, compassion, strength, and service. Undoubtedly, whether you supported her politically or not, everyone was proud to see Portia Simpson Miller become Prime Minister. It is especially fitting that this recognition takes place during Workers' Week 2026, because few leaders in Jamaica's modern history have demonstrated the kind of consistent commitment to welfare, dignity, and the advancement of working people than Portia Simpson Miller. For more than a decade, former Prime Minister served our country through this ministry, first as the Minister of Labour, Welfare and Sport, 1989 to 1993, then as Minister of Labour and Welfare for 2 years, up to 95, and finally as Minister of Social Security and Sports and, from 1995 to 2000. To each successive role, she brought the same energy, the same compassion. I'm certain that many of us who had the opportunity to know Portia would remember her hugs. And she, whether she knew you or not, whether she knew whether you supported her or not, she was going to smile, she was going to hug you, and you're going to leave knowing there's something different about this being. Her leadership was the same. It came during a period when labor relations required very careful stewardship, and when social protection systems demanded strengthening and modernization. And so what emerged from her tenure as minister was a style of leadership that placed people at the center of policy and governance. She understood that labor is not simply about economics or administration, but fundamentally about human lives and dignity and human opportunity. And under her stewardship, this ministry remained closely connected to the everyday realities of workers and their families, responding to heightened issues with heightened empathy. She strengthened dialogue among labor stakeholders, and she helped to cultivate a more stable and constructive industrial relations environment at a very critical time in our nation's development. One of her most enduring contributions was, as was said before, her dedication and work for the Jamaicans who have benefited from the Overseas Farm Work Program. She recognized the immense sacrifice that these workers made season after season, under difficult circumstances as well, and to support their family, to support the Jamaican economy, communities. And she understood the struggle. And she understood that dignity of labor and the value of our people meant that she had to continue tirelessly to champion for them, to protect their rights, to ensure they are respected and protected. And we continue her work. Former Prime Minister Simpson Miller, she strengthened that program. She established the Overseas Employment Center at East Street, which has provided countless support to several families and reinforced confidence in a system that so many families depend on for survival and advancement. For the workers, her advocacy was more than policy. It was reassurance that someone in the country at the highest office where she served valued them. And it is something that you heard and you continue to hear consistently for those who discuss her tenure. Mrs. Simpson Miller, our former Minister of Labour, also demonstrated visionary leadership in the area of social security. She championed efforts to strengthen the national insurance scheme and to improve the long-term stability and sustainability of the National Insurance Fund. And I can tell you, Opposition Leader, the NHT website itself speaks to the NHT being established in 1976 through an amendment of the National Insurance Act of 1976. So I think as an independent observer, the Prime Minister wins in that regard. Me. I'm the independent observer today. Just work with me. Work with me, Mark. So not that. All right. So the strengthening of these systems reflected a broader philosophy that guided her public life. The belief that national development must include protection for the vulnerable, support for senior citizens, and meaningful investment in social well-being. Yet, beyond the achievements of office, what endeared Portia Simpson Miller to so many Jamaicans was her authenticity. She was just real. I'm telling you. And she never governed from a distance. It was amazing that, again, no matter where you came from or what side you were on, Portia had a way of making you feel special when she was speaking to you. Like it is only you in the room and you alone in the world. As minister, she was always accessible to the staff, to everyone, relatable, deeply connected to the people she served. Jamaicans saw in her a leader who understood their struggles, and that's a big part of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. She spoke the language of the people and carried their concerns to the highest level of national decision-making. That connection to people remains central to the legacy of Portia Simpson Miller. And it is an inspiration to me as Minister of Labour and Social Security as we continue to do what the Prime Minister has mandated us in strengthening social protection for the people of this nation. So by naming this building in her honor today, we are preserving that legacy within the very institution where much of her work unfolded. This building will now stand as a permanent symbol of service rooted in resilience and advocacy for working Jamaicans. It will also serve as a reminder to future generations that leadership is measured not only by position, but by impact, by the ability to improve lives, to strengthen institutions, and to expand opportunity for others. So to the family and to the most honorable Mrs. Simpson Miller, today we do more than just place your name on a building. We express the gratitude of a nation, of a ministry, and we affirm the enduring value of your service to this nation. Your voice, your advocacy, your commitment has left an indelible mark on this country and generations to come. I give thanks to the team that worked on our ceremony this morning for the Honorable Lyndon Newland and also put together everything for the function here today. May all of us who pass through the doors of these buildings be inspired by the examples of perseverance, humility, and public service that we see in those two leaders. Thank you very much. One love.
Minister Charles, you captured this former Prime Minister beautifully. I listened very carefully how you crafted what you had to say. You began with the hugs, but you went to other places. Her work, her worth, her compassion, her dedication, and her authenticity. It was so good, so I didn't want to ask you for a copy. No, I'm not joking. I don't know if anybody was listening as intently as I was listening. Really, really, really. So, thank you very much for that. And now, Dwight Richards is going to be entertaining us. He's here in the sun trying to get a tan. But, Dwight, even you have to be careful. You have to put on sunblock with what is happening because El Nino is bringing hotter I hope no one listening to my church brother, you know. Evan warned the whole of you know, that it's going to be drier. We're going to have longer periods without rain. And, of course, we know the excessive weather things that the hurricane period can have. So please protect yourself and sip. Prime Minister, have you been sipping water? Sip on your water. No joke, sip on your water. Dwight, how are you? Where are you? How are you? Yes? You're marching up? Could you welcome Dwight Richards, please? But, what do you want with me?
God is good. Now, if you know, I call her mommy. I can't call her Portia. She smacked me. But she loved to kiss. And I say, enjoy the kisses. And I miss the kisses. I miss the kisses. But her songs, these few songs are songs that she loved. And today is her day. Nothing else. So here we go. So when she called you, she said she want this song. Dwight, this song you have to sing. This song. I hope you're watching us. Hope you're watching us. Yeah. When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, and I am still and wait here in your silence here until you come and stay a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on my stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise her up to more than she can be. Stormy seas, but I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise Portia, keep raising her up. The next song, yeah. Remember, it's a short program, yeah. So here we go. And the next song she always asks for. Just 2 lines there. This great woman who are celebrating today. Yeah. must have been cold there in my shadow, Sister Pia, to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let us shine. You always walk a step behind her. But I was the one with all the glory. You were the one strong woman, yeah. Beautiful face without a name. Sister P, we never once heard you complain. You ever know that you're one of our heroes? Everything we would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle, with you as the wind beneath our wings. Might have appeared to go unnoticed, but we've got you here in our hearts. Oh, we want you to know we've known the truth. Yes, we do. Yeah. Jamaica would be nothing without you. Oh, mama, do you ever know that you're our hero? An eagle, you as the wind beneath our wings. Clap her, man, clap her. Auntie, don't move yet. And she loves to dance. Today is about Portia. She loves to dance. Wrong song. It is a wrong song, yeah. It is Rivers of Babylon, yeah. Put on the glasses, yeah. Yeah. No, she loves to dance. She always rocking. And she's still dancing. Don't she still dancing? She's still dancing. Hey, mama. There's two line on the feet. Hey. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down. Help me sing. And there we were, when we remember Zion, by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we were, when we remember Zion, for the wicked. Come on, how can we sing King Alpha's song in our stray? Hey, body we can carry us away, God. Oh, mama, we choir, come on. But how can we sing the Lord's song in our stray? Auntie Faye, come closer. Now sing it again. Ah. Yeah. Oh, mama. Yeah. Oh, Farah, I stay too long.
Thank you very much, Dwight, bringing the spirit of the lady through the music. We're going to be moving this here now to give you a glimpse. Live audio is going to be assisting me with this now. Thank you very much. I was dancing. You know, I wouldn't want to be prime minister. Because I just sit down, so boom. You know, well, one move, you know.
The legacy of Portia Simpson Miller. Jamaica's progress has always been built on the strength and determination of its workers. And among the leaders who dedicated their lives to advancing the welfare of working people, few have left a more enduring legacy than the most honorable Portia Simpson Miller. As Jamaica observes Workers' Week 2026, we honor a leader whose years of service transformed lives, strengthened institutions, and expanded opportunity for countless Jamaicans. From 1989 to 2000, Mrs. Simpson Miller served as minister with responsibility for labor alongside welfare, social security, and sports. Throughout her tenure, she became known for her compassion, accessibility, and unwavering commitment to the people of Jamaica. At a time when industrial relations faced growing tension and uncertainty, she worked to build dialogue and cooperation among workers, employers, and trade unions. Her people-centered approach helped strengthen confidence in Jamaica's labor administration system and contributed to a more stable industrial relations climate. One of her most significant contributions was her advocacy for Jamaica's overseas farm workers. Recognizing the importance of overseas employment to thousands of Jamaican families, she championed improvements to worker protections, program oversight, and accountability. Under her leadership, the Overseas Recruitment Center for Farm Workers was established, bringing greater transparency and structure to the recruitment process for Jamaicans seeking opportunities abroad. Mrs. Simpson Miller also played an important role in strengthening Jamaica's social protection framework. Her administration prioritized support for elderly Jamaicans and reinforced the national insurance scheme as a stronger pillar of social security. Strategic oversight and investment growth within the National Insurance Fund helped improve the scheme's long-term sustainability and strengthened public confidence in the system. Her vision extended beyond policy alone. She invested in people and institutions, expanding daycare facilities across the island and establishing a chair in labor relations at the University of the West Indies, helping to advance professional development in the field. What distinguished Portia Simpson Miller throughout her service was her deep connection to ordinary Jamaicans, whether engaging workers at home or Jamaicans preparing for overseas employment. She led with authenticity, empathy, and resolve. As part of Workers' Week 2026, the government of Jamaica will formally name the Ministry of Labor and Social Security building at 1F North Street in her honor. It is a fitting tribute to a leader whose legacy remains woven into the fabric of Jamaica's labor and social protection systems. The legacy of Portia Simpson Miller endures in the dignity of workers, the strength of institutions, and the continuing support of opportunity and justice for all Jamaicans.
Thank you. Whoops. Yes, thank you very much. And that video took us back to many of the occasions and persons. And I noticed there were several shots with President Obama, which led me to want to just get up and say, Wagwan, Jamaica. But then again, I might be asked to leave because, I need to conduct myself properly. Right. The keynote address, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. You've sat through the first one, you've gone through this one, and now we anticipate what you have to share with us on this occasion. Thank you, sir. Could you take over from me at the lectern?
Thank you, Auntie Faye. Leader of the opposition, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience and listening to us through the various media. Today we gather in a spirit of respect, remembrance, and national gratitude to honor the life and service of a former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller. We are here to honor a Jamaican whose public life has been defined by perseverance, compassion, courage, and a deep connection to the Jamaican people. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security occupies a special place in the life of our country. The ministry stands at the point where work, dignity, protection, and opportunity meet. It deals with the worker seeking fair treatment. It deals with family in need of support. It deals with the pensioner who depends on the assurance that the state will not forget them. It deals with the employer, the trade union, the vulnerable citizen, the person with disability, the seasonal worker, the injured worker, and the Jamaican who simply wants a fair chance for a better life. For that reason, it is fitting that during Workers' Week, this building at 1F North Street should be dedicated in honor of the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller. Her journey is well known, from local government to parliament, from ministerial service to national leadership, and ultimately to becoming Jamaica's first woman prime minister. Portia Simpson Miller broke barriers that stood for far too long. But her significance does not rest only in the offices that she held. It rests on the people who she inspired to dream. She made many Jamaicans feel seen. She spoke to communities that were often ignored. She brought to national life a language of care, a presence, and solidarity for the poor, the worker, the woman, the elderly, and the vulnerable. She understood politics not only as policy and administration, but as ultimately human contact. Her service in labor and social security was therefore pivotal to her career and central to her outlook. She understood the worker who would leave home before dawn. She understood the woman holding a household together. She understood the young person trying to find a path. She understood the elderly citizen seeking dignity after years of contribution. These were not abstractions to her. These were the people she carried in her public life. Under her watch, Jamaica's labor programs expanded opportunities for Jamaicans at home and abroad. These programs did more than place workers overseas. They opened doors, they supported families, they sent children to school, they helped to build households, they connected Jamaican labor to international opportunity while reminding us that our people remain our greatest asset. That is an important part of her legacy. The dignity of labor was a practical concern. It was about whether a worker could earn, whether a mother could provide, whether a family could have a chance to advance, whether a Jamaican, regardless of background, could believe that the state recognized and valued their worth. The naming of this building in her honor is therefore a proper tribute. It recognizes not only the former Prime Minister, but the servant leader whose political life was rooted in people. It recognizes a woman who rose through institutions that were not always easy for women, and who, by rising, widened the path for others. It also carries a message for the present. When we name this public building after Portia Simpson Miller, we are asking those who enter it to remember compassion, inclusion, resilience, and service to ordinary people. We are not asking them to remember that government is not an abstraction. Government is experienced at the counter, in the office, through the phone call, through the form, through the pension payments, through the program that gives workers a chance. For many Jamaicans, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is one of the most human faces of the state. It is here that policy meets real life. It is here that a citizen comes not with theory, the abstraction, but with a need that is real, that is urgent, that is critical, as we say in Jamaica, oftentimes life and death. And that is how our citizens expect to be treated. It is here that the values of fairness, caring, and efficiency must be made visible. This dedication should therefore instruct us that public office must remain connected to the lives of ordinary people. It instructs us that Social Security is not charity. Let me say that again. It instructs us that Social Security is not charity. We're not doing anybody a favor. It is a duty and oftentimes a right. It is part of the basic architecture of a just society. It instructs us that labor and social security policy is not just paperwork, but it is lives. And this is how we build our nation. I want to go off script and address a few issues. Now, a couple of months ago, I had a call with former Prime Minister Simpson Miller's husband. And I'm not going to discuss what we discussed. I'm not going to say that here because it was in confidence and in privacy. But I want to give an assurance that the Western Children's Hospital, which Portia Simpson Miller went to China, negotiated with the government of China, came back to Jamaica and announced it, that it is only proper. And there was never any other intention. I see some campaign going on all over the place. You know, we are a country that everyone likes to campaign about something. That's fine. That's fine. Not arguing about that. But, governments can't always say everything up front all at once. You have to wait until appropriate timing and so forth. So sometimes our timing may not coincide with other timelines and ambitions and issues. So whatever it is, it was always the intent, and I had expressed that directly to the family, and internally we had also discussed it. And I may even have said it in passing in interviews, which probably was not picked up at the time, that the hospital should be named. It is only the right thing to do. It's appropriate that it should be named in her honor, and it will be done. We were just waiting until the hospital was finished and ready, which would have been the appropriate time to say that, but it is what it is. It may have also escaped the media and other commentators that there was such a place as the Portia Simpson Miller Square in 3 Miles. And when I became Prime Minister, Mama P was my mother. She usually called me her son. And then I don't know what happened. She disowned me. But we made up. We made up afterwards. So she's always in my heart, and we're always good friends. My mother actually worked in the ministry when she was minister for many years, and they got along very well. My mother always talks about her, and she always talks about my mother. So we have some connections there. But anyway, when we were doing the road program in the corporate area, we removed the square. And I just want to assure the members of her constituency, which adjoins my constituency, that it was never the intention to eliminate Portia Simpson Miller Square. And so when we put up the overpasses, the intention was to rename those overpasses in her honor. We actually started some work to fix up underneath the overpasses and to paint it to make it look appropriate. We will continue that, and at the right time, we will rename that entire area, including the overpass and the underpass. We're trying to figure out if it should be the Portia Simpson Miller overpasses, or we haven't found the right nomenclature, but we will find the right and appropriate way to name it. So, this is about legacy. And in a country like Jamaica, where our democracy is so robust and everything is contested, you want your legacy to be cemented, literally. You want your legacy to be in concrete, so it's not challenged, and it can't be just toppled easily, even by powerful thoughts that may come afterwards, ideas and so forth. So we take this seriously, and I want to commend Minister Grange. She has been on a campaign of putting up statues and memorials and all kinds of things, and naming important iconic structures in honor of great Jamaicans. Now, let me be clear. The legacy of Michael Manley and the NHD is not in challenge. So for those who interpret my comments in that way, please be at ease. But I find that in our general discussions about the history of Jamaica, we are not complete. We take elements of it that suit either our political outlook or our comfort. And the point of facts are these. And it is related to this issue because it's a general philosophy that workers' rights must be protected. And based on that philosophy, as work became more structured, more organized, more urbanized, and more corporatized, especially coming to the end of the Industrial Revolution, workers had a literal limited lifespan, that they would work for 20, 30 years maybe, and then after that they can't work again. They're out of the labor force because there are people coming up wanting jobs. And then what do? There's no pension, there's no way for you to survive. So the notion of pensions started. I believe the leader of the opposition pointed out that in 1911, it started with 1908, then 1911, the Insurance Act was put in, the Social Insurance Act. And that was a good idea. And it was replicated normally around the Commonwealth, as you pointed out, but it spread. It's an idea that spread, that workers would contribute to a pension centrally managed by the state, and employers would contribute as well. And that system was established in Jamaica with the formation of the National Insurance Act. Now, as Minister Grange pointed out, it was heavily fought. It just reminds me of NARA. Heavily fought. And in fact, it was called SIN. The third National Insurance Scheme had called it SIN. And look at us today. Right? It's part of that is what makes the Jamaican democracy strong. Don't believe any foolishness you hear people writing. Jamaica's democracy is strong. because it was robustly contested. And that model inspired other models where workers' contribution would be used. So, for example, the idea of a social pension became the basis for the idea of socially financing mortgages. That is where the funding for a mortgage pool would come from. And the mechanism to take it out of the workers' pay already existed through the NIS system. And so what happened was that there was an amendment made to the NIS Act to use the exact system of collecting from both workers and employers to collect from workers and employers for the NIS. And for several years, the fund that was collected and the collections were administered by the NIS. It was actually one and the same until, I believe, 1979, I believe it was, that the actual NHT Act, 76, it could be 76, don't quote me on it, but 76, there was an actual act created which separated the NIS, the NHT and the NIS, and established now an institution and a law for the NHT. So, normally I would not go into this. But I think it is important for the record because there's so many things being said that are not necessarily accurate, not necessarily true, not necessarily complete. And my job is to tackle some of these things that are not accurate, to give a broader perspective on things. So, again, I want to commend Minister Pernell Charles and Minister Grange for the leadership and the staff of the respective ministries who have put on this lovely event. I must commend this. It's a lovely event. I particularly like the very brief documentary on Portia Simpson Miller. And all who have worked on these Jamaica legacy projects. And to the family, how are you, my dear? Good. And colleagues and admirers of the most honorable Portia Simpson Miller, I say this: Jamaica recognizes the magnitude of her contribution. We recognize the doors she opened. We recognize the people she served. We recognize the example she set. We have commissioned a bust in her honor. Minister Grange may say something more. Well, at the appropriate time, you will inform the public of that. And there is also a documentary that will be commissioned by the government. So we want you to know that we are in the business of preserving and promoting the legacies of our leaders, not to destroy or contort. Or we want the legacies of our leaders to be there for the posterity and benefit of the people of Jamaica. So may all who work in the Portia Simpson Miller building be guided by her example. May this building stand as a monument to inclusion, perseverance, and people-centered leadership. And may Jamaica continue to produce public servants worthy of such honor. I thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I particularly like a turn of phrase you used when you said she did things to allow a chance to advance, for others to advance. And of course, you called her a servant leader, which is what she really was. That compassion, that inclusion, that resilience of which you spoke, and service to ordinary people. Well, the Prime Minister tell all of you who work in this building to make sure you work and operate the way Portia Simpson Miller would. And now, Pastor Alicia Magnus, might I ask you to respond on behalf of the lady we acknowledge and honor at this time. Could you welcome her grandniece?
Madam Compere, Most Honorable Prime Minister, Ministers of Government, Leader of the Opposition, other specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, a hearty good afternoon to you. There are no words to describe how elated I am to be here on my aunt's behalf. And as someone who prefers to be tucked away and hidden in the background, because of the auntie that she is and the woman that she is, this is probably one of the easiest yeses of my life. Even if it means being up here in a little less fear and trembling than I was experiencing yesterday. Okay. I know, my family knows that if she could be here with us today, she would be. But so it is sometimes. And so here we are together. If I'm being completely honest, though, it's hard for me to stand here in the capacity of just my auntie's representative. Because more than that, I am an extremely proud niece of a most beloved auntie who believes wholeheartedly that she is absolutely worth being celebrated and honored in the way that she is being done today. And so mine has been the privilege of sitting at her feet from the time that I was born and learning from not merely her words, but because of the life that I witnessed. I lived with my auntie for the first 10 years of my life, and she was a present auntie. And I'm not sure if it was you, Minister or Prime Minister, who mentioned her knowing how to take care of the home. She did just that. So I lived with her for the first 10 years of my life. She was very present, and she would often refer to me as her one daughter, and less often as her handbag or her hand luggage. And so even though being a politician was extremely demanding, when she could not be at home, she would actually take me with her everywhere that she could, and she would include me in everything that she could. And so I saw her. But it also means that my reason for celebrating her is slightly different from yours, because to you, she was councillor, she was member of parliament, minister of government, prime minister, and leader of the opposition. But to me, she's my second mommy. And so I want you to know that the person that you have described here is exactly who she was at home. And so Auntie Faye mentioned, the special names that we have for each other as Jamaicans. And so when I was a toddler, I called my mother Mama, but I called my auntie Auntie Mama. Now, naturally, as you get older, Mama is lame. And so that went from Auntie Mama to Auntie Portia or Auntie P. And for my mother, who she also helped to raise, that special name she had for her was Mama Ted. And her siblings, family, people that she worked with, she had so many of those special names, and she knew how to answer to them. She knew when people were referring to her because she just had that connection with them. And the names were wide and varied. And also, I'm not remembering who said it, but the fact that she loved to dance. Yes, she in fact loved to dance. That was also a reality of ours at home, and I'll tell you a joke before I move on. There was an occasion where we were listening to, I think it was a soca song on the radio, and my mother was trying her best. She can dance, but she was trying her best to teach me how to do this particular dance. And at that moment, Auntie was walking into the kitchen and saw Mommy trying to teach me this dance. I says, "What kind of foolishness that you're teaching the pitney? Come, Alyssa, come. Let me show you how you do it properly." And that was just her personality, even the running. She ran at home too. As a matter of fact, she would take great joy on the occasions that she had to be able to play with me outside. She would say, "Come, Alyssa, let's race." And she would take great joy in always beating me and saying, "You should have more strength than me, what's going on?" And it was even a more delightful experience for her when her little sister, my grandmother, was in Jamaica, and they would both race me, and they would both beat me, and gloat and gloat and gloat some more. And even that song, I'd like to say this before I move into her part. The song especially, "Did You Ever Know That You're My Hero?" I was moved to tears. I thank you, Dwight, I'm not seeing him now, so much for that. I was moved to tears because that's exactly how I felt about her. I idolized her. I knew even in my childhood years she was a force. She was, in fact, my hero. And I remember there was an occasion because my mother, even though she had me young, so we grew as best friends. And one day we were talking about, how we would want to honor Auntie at our weddings. And the song that both of us agreed on, because of who she was for us, was a song called Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion. So, because she is who she is, wherever she is, you're going to hear some repetition in what is shared here now, I guess as confirmation. And so we sat together and reflected together, my mom and I, through laughter and tears as we reflected on our wonderful auntie. We sat together and decided to share with you this afternoon what we thought it is that she would say to you if she was here herself. Okay. The year 1989 started a new chapter in my life. The little girl from Woodhall was to be a senior minister of government and was assigned what I regarded as a super portfolio responsibility, being the minister of the Ministry of Labour, Welfare and Sport. My Prime Minister had indicated his confidence in my abilities, and I was determined not to let him down. I was excited and determined to do the very best that I could for the people of this beautiful country. Election was over. Now, it's governance time. So, I looked to my Heavenly Father. Now, pardon me as I digress once more from what I believe she would have said herself. You see, based on the life that I witnessed as I watched my auntie, I believe the prayer that she would have prayed as she sought God's guidance could be likened to St. Francis of Assisi's prayer for peace. And I say this because I saw every word of this prayer, bar none, apparent in her character and evidenced in her service and her stewardship. It says, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. And so, yes, with God holding her hand, she succeeded. And I was actually surprised because I thought that one of the songs that Dwight would have played is Can't Even Walk, because that song always centered her. There was always an acknowledgement from her of the God that she needed to carry her through. Though her position was an important one, she humbly bowed at the feet of her Creator. And so, back to what we believe she would have shared with you. My tenure at the ministry started on a very high note. The industrial relations temperature in the country was very hot. There were many strikes and threats of industrial action. What a welcome. But God prepares us for every assignment that He gives to us, and He provides help. I was already armed with the experience garnered and relationships forged while working with the trade union. I labored while at labor, spending many a night on the 6th floor in meetings with our tripartite partners as I sought to arrive at amicable solutions to ensure that the country would not come to a halt. the learning curve was steep. Outside of these meetings, people from all walks of life, near and far, many of whom were not my supporters, waited for hours to meet with me in the evenings. To whom much is given, much is required. The farm work program needed to expand to provide opportunities for more Jamaicans to earn a livelihood and support their families. To strengthen our relationship with the employers and create a win-win partnership, we needed to ensure that we had more of our people on the ground working as liaison officers. There was 1 year that I particularly lived out of a suitcase. It has always been country and our people first. Our workers needed to be afforded greater dignity, and so some transformation was required, beginning right here at home. Our pensioners, Jamaicans who had worked long and hard, deserved more. A board was needed to ensure that the contributions would be invested in such a way that sensible and more meaningful increases in pension could be provided. The thought was always, who would be the best person to chair this board and who would be good board members? And ladies and gentlemen, the rest is history. There were annual trips to the International Labour Organization conferences. Jamaica had a platform in this arena, and we needed to utilize the opportunities that being a member afforded our country. But there was also the need to balance my ministerial responsibility with my responsibility as a member of parliament. It was very important to have a good team of councillors and party workers to ensure that the interests of the people of South West St. Andrew would always be represented. I stuck to my Wednesday constituency days as much as I could. Professor Rex Nettleford, God bless him, recommended a university overseas as I was desirous of advancing my education. Then Prime Minister Patterson gave me the permission to travel each weekend to attend classes. This was a challenging and fulfilling time. And I'd like to also add here that she didn't just balance work and school. She balanced work, school, and home. Madam Compere, Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, time will not allow me to recount my many experiences, and so I've just shared a few. I am very thankful for this recognition today, but I could have done nothing on my own. It takes a village, each one working with the other, together each achieving more. I had a very good team. Mr. Anthony Irons, Uncle Tony, Mr. Gresford Smith, and Mrs. Earl of blessed memory, Mr. Alvin McIntosh, Miss Rodney and Miss Bennett, and my personal administrative team, my councillors and party workers, the people of Southwest St. Andrew, and the many men and women who were and possibly still are employees of this ministry, as well as those who supported me throughout my political career. And there's one person not named, Auntie Pam. She also worked very closely with Auntie. I don't remember your last name, forgive me. Haven't seen you since I was a little girl. But she also worked closely with Auntie. I saw her all the time, whether at home or in the office. Today is only possible because we believed that together we would forge a new path for the people of this country and play our own role in advancing the welfare of our brothers and sisters. To you, I owe a debt of gratitude. As I close, we have been given a remarkable opportunity to serve a people with an indomitable spirit. Let us be our brothers' keepers always. Be a voice for the voiceless. Teach our people how to fish and provide the avenue for them to grow and succeed. Always put country above self. Always put neighbor above self. Work as unto the Lord. The pleasure of a remarkable journey was mine. And in closing and sharing her final thoughts as we sat, we recounted how we would hear her usually end, the conversations, the speeches that she had. And it's almost as if we could see her. And so I close by saying, thank you. I love you. God bless you. And God bless Jamaica, land we love.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pastor Alicia Magnus. You really shared some very personal nuggets with us as a family and as somebody who actually lived in that home, in that house with her, somebody who guided you. Friends, it's time for a vote of thanks, and then afterwards we will do the official ceremonial unveiling. I'm going to ask all of us who are not part of that party, and it's just about 4 people, will be part of that party. They'll do it on the outside, but we'll be able to watch it on the screen. So, Ms. Gillian Carruthers, please, I invite you now, Chief Technical Director, Ministry of Labor and Social Security, to move the vote of thanks for this second naming and dedication ceremony.
Thank you very much, Auntie Faye. And my predecessors, Uncle Tony, Anthony Irons, and Gresford Smith would have loved to be here today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we bring to close our Workers' Week celebration 2026, I use this opportunity to move the vote of thanks, firstly, to the honoree, our former Minister of Labour, Social Security and Sport, the Honourable Portia Simpson Miller, and Reverend Alicia Magnus, grandniece, and other members of the Simpson Miller family who are joining virtually, and persons who were part of her team, Pam. As we mark another milestone in labor relations history, I have the pleasure of saying special thanks to Most Honourable Andrew Michael Holness, because she would have been a mummy to you at one point, for leading the significant cabinet decision, making sure you are personally here for the naming of this building and writing a significant part of labor history. Our own Honourable Pernell Charles Jr., Minister of Labour and Social Security, and by the way, your father was a very good friend of hers, and trade unionist. And Honourable Olivia Babsy-Grange, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, who both ensured that this very significant recognition has taken place in Workers' Week 2026. We thank you. Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, we thank you for being present today as you remind us of the key principles, passion, and compassion of our former Minister and Prime Minister of Jamaica. On behalf of this ministry, we extend special thanks to Mr. Wavell Hines, Opposition Spokesperson on Labour and Sport, Councillor Charmaine Daniels, Permanent Secretary Mrs. Diane Jennings, Permanent Secretary Mr. Denzel Thorpe, Chairman of the Industrial Disputes Tribunal, Mr. Errol Miller, and I did say Errol Miller, not Errol Miller, because when our minister got married, he got many congratulatory notes because they thought he was Mr. Errol Miller. I also thank other members of the tribunal, deputy chairpersons of the IDT, members of the National Minimum Wage Commission, members of the Labour Advisory Commission, Mr. St. Patrice Ennis, President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, and all worker representatives present in person or online, Vincent Granville, and all present in person and online. We want to give special thanks and recognition to Mr. Orville Taylor, who she called her son, member of the University of the West Indies, where she established a chair for labor relations, past and present permanent secretaries, directors, and staff of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, distinguished ladies and gentlemen all, thank you for being here. Thanks for being present as we ink another indelible mark on Jamaica's labor relations history. Former Minister of Labor and Social Security, former Minister of Labor, Social Security and Sport, and former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Portia Simpson Miller, in her stewardship, redefined the relationship between labor and employers. With her own personal and transforming touch, she transformed the labor atmosphere from the adversarial roadblocks and strikes to social dialogue and tripartism, which is represented here today. This was very vividly remembered in the several 20 hours labor negotiations, and she sat through day and night. She didn't go home to refresh herself. She was here with us, right, Pam? We remember her passion and advocacy for the Employee Share Ownership Program. Prime Minister, you spoke of the language of care and compassion. Authenticity was mentioned by our own minister. She has served not only as a significant part of labor relations, an example for women, but in this ministry, we see it in the number of women in the leadership of this very ministry, trade unionism, labor administration, and the boardrooms across Jamaica. The ILO, or farm workers, and stakeholders in gender equity, senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and all other stakeholders today are pleased to have this building, 1F North Street, named the Portia Simpson Miller Building. Special thanks to Reverend Astor Carlisle and to Faye, our compare, and our beautiful renditions from Dwight Richards, the media planning team of this ministry. We are extremely indebted to you for making today absolutely pleasurable. On behalf of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. It's been a long morning and gone into the afternoon, but now we're going to be moving to the unveiling, the official ceremonial unveiling. And let me just say this. Mr. Golding has asked me to apologize. He had a 2 o'clock appointment, and I think, Rev, you have one as well. So, yes. No, you have the whole, I don't know what is going to happen to you, your whole life mash up. Because you're around the country, but you're there from morning. Hope they give you like a chocolate tea. All right. So here, this is the order. There are 2 strings. Prime Minister and Minister Grange, you're going to be at 1, representing Mr. Golding, Wavell Hines, and Minister Charles. So we're going to ask you to make your way to the outside. They're ready for you. Thank you all for your patience. It's been a long day, but a very important day when we deal with legacy. Legacy of 2 outstanding Jamaicans. The rest of us are to remain in here. The permanent secretary is going to assist. The rest of us are to remain. And you to come up on the screen. Live audio, you might want to move this lectern so people can see what's happening on the outside on the screen. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. It's been a pleasure helping to navigate the events today. Thank you. Put your hands together for all the organizers. This didn't just happen so, it took time. Thank you.
Stop the music, stop the music, stop the music. Stop the music. Music. Yeah. Cha. so amazing how this world was made. I wonder if God is a woman. Gift of life haunts me to this day. I give it up for this woman. I'm on her face, so take me to a
Can you give us another close-up of the name of the building?
and sorry on the rest of me.
Can you give us another
Strength
close-up?
of this woman,
Great, thank you.
strength of a woman. Woo woo, natural, yeah. Hey, no, I've never been someone shy until I see your eyes. Still I had to try. No, but oh yes, let me get the words right and then approach. Treat it like a man is supposed to. You never
All
have
right,
to
let's give me a
cry.
little bit of sound here. All the visitors and guests are being invited for refreshments. Just go down and go through the gate. If you're looking in the direction, looking out to where the tent is with the audio equipment, go to that left through the gate so that you can be refreshed. Thank you very much. Sorry about that, Dwight.
That's
Sorry.
fine, Auntie
Go on and do your thing, my brother.
Oh, mama, mama, yeah. Hey, she's natural, yeah. No, you've never been someone shy. Till I see those eyes, I had to try. No, but oh yes, let me get the words right and then approach. Treat it like a man is supposed to. You never have to cry. 'Cause I know many men can relate to when they find that special someone, yeah.
She's right.
Well, so right. And I want her in my life. I never knew anyone. She's a one of a kind. Yeah. The way she moved her own beat, she has the quality of a queen. Portia, you're a queen. But ooh, you what a natural beauty. Don't need no makeup to be a cutie. You're a queen, and so supreme.